So Kathy is kind of the head of the the Purple WRT group in Purple and our work on working with OpenWrt. So Kathy Giori and she from Qualcomm, and she will lead this panel. So,
and we'll let Imre wander in when he's ready. I think just as an introduction, I think one of the really cool things about OpenWrt is how it scales from a really small, like reflasher home router, up to now we're seeing it, as you've seen from the talks from Technicolor and these other major projects going on. It scales from very small to very big. And so I went with the some significant examples of large organizations that are using OpenWrt and really depending on it and counting on it now, and just give some quick statistics of how they use it, and then we'll go into some more detailed questions. So we'll introduce the panel, and I'll give my 1-second spiel about each of them, and then I'll let them introduce themselves just a little bit more. So we have Matthew McClintock, who's from Qualcomm Atheros, and he's one of the core OpenWrt developers, and my goal for him and the team at Qualcomm Atheros is to get those contributions back. And then we have Roman Yeryomin, who's been at Ubiquiti Networks for a little while now, and I think the interesting thing for them is they're pushing the edge of the envelope. And as a supplier, I think that's really cool, because the only way we can help our customers push the edge of the envelope, I mean recent kernels and recent OpenWrt, is if Then Joss Delbar, working with Technicolor, so you just heard a lot about that project that just happened. And then we have Mimmo Fauci, and I'm kind of partial because he's Italian, and I like to practice my Italian language with him. But the cool thing that they've done is technically bridged between Arduino and what's called Linino, which is the little Linux fork of OpenWrt that runs on the Linino platforms, and that gives you a lot of flexibility and power on the Linux side with the richness of the GPIOs and the maker community on the Arduino side. And then we have Imre Kaloz, who I met in person the first time probably last year at Dusseldorf when we had our own more informal OpenWrt discussions. And he's here on behalf of Belkin Linksys, who he works with closely. And so I'm just going to hand the microphone off, and you guys can each say something about yourselves.
I'm, like Kathy said, do OpenWrt and Linux development at Qualcomm Atheros. I've been there for almost 3 years now, and just been trying to push the organization towards being more open and upstreaming, and we're getting better, I think, but we'll see if we can accomplish the goals Kathy has set out for us. So that's all.
My name is Roman, as Katie said already. So I've been building and developing OpenWrt firmwares for different companies and ISPs, and for myself from maybe 2010, something like that. Actively using it before also. So now I'm in Ubiquiti for like 1 year, maybe more. And we are trying to use we were allowed to use latest OpenWrt, so we are using everything bleeding edge right now, but only on the project I work now, unfortunately.
All right, my name is Jos Delbar. I work for Technicolor, as Kathy said. I'm a product manager there, and the product that I'm managing is called Homeware, which is our router software, and it's based on OpenWrt. We made this switch, as Hans explained, 2012. It's been a massive change process for our company, but we're really excited about it. We're happy that we made the switch, and very happy that we can be here at this first summit as well, first OpenWrt Summit, so thanks a lot to Purple for organizing. I hope there'll be more of this to come. And I'm very pleased to see also so many different people here from the hacking side, the hobbying side, to the industry side. Really cool.
I'm Imre Fauci. I'm a software developer. I lead the software team in Linino and then now Arduino. And we started this new adventure 3 years ago with this first board called the Arduino UN that put together the microcontroller world with the Linux world. And we had a successful story for this board. And yeah, big thank you to the organization to put together the OpenWrt team because it's important for us to share the idea and know also the people that help us to build the OpenWrt and Linino distribution.
So I'm Imre. I'm actually pretty much the only guy here who's with OpenWrt from the beginning. That will be 12 years, 2 weeks from now. And I do a consulting work for Linksys Belkin. Basically, I take care about the new WRT series of the routers. But I already worked with different companies, helping them leverage and commercialize OpenWrt. So I've seen both worlds.
So now just a commercial break. Don't forget to fill out your survey because among the prizes that you'll get would be, they've graciously donated 10 of the Arduino UN boards. And then I have a couple of the new Qualcomm Dragon board, and this is a quad-core A53 1.2 gigahertz processor with built-in Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, FM, HDMI output, audio, video, graphics, and supposedly upstream support of the 4.2. So we'll have a couple of those. All right, so we're gonna, just to move it along, we're gonna not be, my first question is gonna be like, easy to answer, which is on your fingers, how many branches internally do you maintain? And then I'll give you a quick microphone answer of how what you base it on. So on your hands, how many branches do you maintain for your company? Or 2. Okay, so there's more than one, and then hold up your hand if you've based it off a stable branch, like stable final. Okay. Yeah, Imre's okay, and then and this probably doesn't include Imre either. Hold up your hand if your development team has contributed back to the project, submitted back to the project. Okay, yeah. Okay, and then one more just hand question. Raise your hand if your company has already prepared a lockdown mechanism to handle the FCC uniband requirements, like you actually have a software in place to lock the router. No hands yet. Okay, iffy. Iffy, some things. Okay, and now I'd like to, you can do the microphone again, just discuss from the industry perspective, this will be an interesting answer from Imre, but your impression of OpenWrt organizational and cultural stability, and an example, just maybe one example problem you see. So organizationally, culturally, what's your impression from the outside, and can you give us an example of anything that worries you?
So to be honest, I've just met a lot of OpenWrt developers for the first time this week, so I don't have a whole lot to say necessarily. I guess the thing you mentioned was somewhat interesting about having a foundation or someone to like organize, maybe a little bit more organization as far as release planning, updating the website, like where can our company give money, you know, to support the organization, because we're probably pretty willing to, you know, donate money for hardware and give boards to people if there was some more official process around that. But I wouldn't say it's a fault either. If it works for you, and it's clearly working, so it's hard to criticize too much.
So I think that all those problems already discussed, like Steven had a good overview, like a lack of automatic testing, especially hardware testing, and documentation. From my point of view, the community itself looks a little bit loose. So OpenWrt Foundation or some organization may do a good job here, and that's it probably.
I think from my side, I would say I'm very happy and positively impressed to see so many people here. I think one issue for OpenWrt could be, from speaking from an industry perspective, is that probably a lot of people are using it, but we don't even know it. We don't even realize it from each other. And in this day and age, there's a lot of consolidation going on. There's one going on in my company. I think there's been one with you, Kathy. There's been one with Lentic and Intel. There's really a big pressure to rationalize, reduce costs, et cetera, et cetera. So if we can all team up, our competitors, our vendors, everyone, if you can all team up and share what we've been doing, I think that'll be good for all of us. So that would be my vision for the future of OpenWrt. If we can make this more visible and work together more, I think that'd be great.
I just want to add an analogy I've heard is that when you raise the tide, you float all boats. So like founding a foundation that raises the tide, then all the competitors are all the little boats, and you'll all gain value.
So the main problem that we faced at the beginning is that, of course, we don't know exactly the organization, the people that are behind the OpenWrt. So this meeting and the previous one in Düsseldorf for sure help us to know and to have a feedback also directly from the developer team. Another point for sure is the testing of the hardware and the possibility also to build different images in respect to the different hardware, different feature that we want to release. In our case, is something that we are trying to achieve.
Well, my point of view is more like internal than outsider, but I have to agree with most of the points you've made, all of you. We do have some, let's call it lack of documentation. And basically, all these issues you've mentioned are pretty much true. I strongly believe that the project does need some kind of, we can call it hierarchy, but some organization, to call it that way. Let it be a foundation or not. But I also have to mention that internally we also have to care about while working with more and more companies to actually keep a distance from any company, because as Kathy mentioned, rising the tide only works if we are not really stick to a single boat. So that's actually an issue with the project that we do have to remain pretty much, neutral.
So just keep the mic there. If you think about OpenWrt, what does it look like to you 3 years from now? How do you want to see it evolve in a transparent and neutral manner? What does it look like to you, just in general, 3 years from now?
Well, I think that we are pretty much following the plan of world domination still. We've taken over most of the chipset manufacturers. Judging from these gentlemen, we are pretty much on the way with the middleware providers. I think the CP market is still like waiting for us, but other than we are on track.
Okay, I hand it over to Mimmo. How would you like to see the organization evolve from here to what you might see 3 years from now?
But for sure, probably the communication between the developer team and all the community in order to understand what are the goals, the next goal. Let's say not sort of roadmap, but have something clear what the feature will go. So in which direction, what kind of feature is better to put on OpenWrt, etc. A lot of effort on documentation and explain better what we did. Something that also in Arduino is something that we take care in order to publish and to make also the users aware of what we are doing.
So you see yourselves contributing to that documentation and publishing what you've done for Linino.
Sure. No, also in Linino, we try on the wiki to explain how to do some things that, of course, we take sometimes from the wiki, or we explain in different way and we put on our audience.
And I guess all of you would be pretty much into having predictable OpenWrt releases, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll be preaching to the choir. I think what all you guys are saying, I agree with that. I would say, for me, I'd be very happy if in a few years OpenWrt has a little bit more cohesiveness. You can call that governance. I'm not sure how to get there. But I wouldn't want to lose at the same time the playfulness that it has. And I like all of the proof of concepts and the projects that are happening on top of OpenWrt as well. And that's also one of the reasons why we use it. We want to have that openness. So I really dread having it become into a big, bulky standardization organ and all of that. So that'd be the risk. But if we can manage to avoid that, having a little bit more of a, let's say, a stronger community would be really great.
So, like others said, I see it installed on every single device in the world with good documentation and more organized. But other than that, it would really be nice if it will spread more on different devices, like maybe switches and optical devices, maybe even servers, like there are ARM servers, yes. And all the different maybe TVs maybe don't, they like used to Android more, but still stuff like that.
So I don't know that I have any real vision for 3 years from now. As long as the community is still here and growing, I think it'll be all right.
Okay, so I'm gonna take over your answer. 1 year from now, this is my own selfish thing. At the next summit, I want to be not the only person getting a female-sized T-shirt. So, and I can say that I saw the Linux kernel developer interns. They're all female, 5 of them. They have a special program, and they're being brought into the kernel. So OpenWrt got to bring some females into the distribution. And I also, volunteer for high school girls, STEM projects and things like that. So be sure to, in your companies, recruit female developers into this project. That's my short term. On a broader scale, I would just say I also see how the Linux Foundation has evolved and so how other organizations that are open source focused have evolved. And I think you said it well, keep playfulness, innovation, curiosity, all those things alive, and open source fosters that. So I think that if you just add governance and some some structure that helps the outside world understand the organization, and so more transparency of what's going on and welcoming of people in. I think that would be great. So, Eric, do I have enough time to open a question to from the audience? 6 minutes. Great. Okay, so I'm going to take a question.
It's not a question, but just you maybe forgot that from 3 years from now, I guess OpenWrt will be the choice for distribution for Internet of Things platforms, because it runs on very thin memory footprint. And this is the main advantage. We have a lot of distribution which can run desktops and graphic accelerator and etc. But if you keep it small, it will be everywhere, because billions of devices are going to be in the Internet of Things in 3 years from now. And this is the main advantage of OpenWrt, to be small, to fit in every small devices connected to Internet.
This is the way world domination.
Yeah, it may have more billion devices than running Android in 3 years. So.
OpenWrt inside. So if you get every one of your kids one of these for Christmas, then they'll be building those things.
Well, since you guys all work for a company that builds OpenWrt products, do you guys have any test automation for running tests on your products? Because I know our company has started to develop its own to test our router and automate test it, but to drive OpenWrt as a whole for the project, if we could open source some testing framework, it would help all the developers, verify their releases and everything to. So, sorry.
Is this a staged question?
No. We've done our own using some Python tests and some expensive piece of networking hardware called CD router and everything to drive it. But, you guys have a company, so.
So QCA just released to GitHub on github.com/QCA/boardfarm our basic test framework. It's kind of pared down and like a lot of tests were removed, but it's Python based, and it goes off the notion of you have a router and machines connected via Wi-Fi clients, and a LAN and WAN machine, and it has an assortment of tests. Very simple, pexpect based, send line, expect type tests, and there's other libraries in there as well. So I don't know if anyone else wants to.
Yeah, and we just posted it to GitHub just probably 2 weeks ago.
And we're actually using it already.
Yeah, so github.com/QCA/boardfarm. And I had asked Matthew to give a lightning talk on that subject.
So that was my lightning talk. We just saved 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Any other questions?
Oh,
Yeah, if I compare OpenWrt to mainstream Linux distributions, I'm very satisfied that you are not following the approach by Leonard Pettering and including systemd. But one thing I would advise where he does a good job is he explains a lot of his stuff. Like he blogs about every change he's been doing. And for some developments that have occurred in OpenWrt where things have been added, I don't know, NetIFT, whatever, just an example, I would have loved to just see like some article or something about it. Because it's as an end user, it's very hard to follow development if you're not on ISC and not on the mailing list.
That's kind of a core group answer.
So it'd be cool if we had like a LWN section. But anyways, I think I'll pass it over to Imre.
Yeah. You are completely true. Actually, most of the development informations are just getting passed around on IRC, and pretty much you can find all the developers on IRC. I think the politically correct answer to your question is that we consider this to be the documentation problem, and we have certain ideas how we try to fix it.
Yeah, because IRC doesn't work for certain time zones.
It pretty much works, but it doesn't work for everyone.
So there are some companies or communities that use routers from Ubiquiti or Linksys, and it will be really cool for this type of companies or communities if the product would be similar enough to OpenWrt so that we didn't need to refresh it. Do you see that possible in the future? Not maybe tomorrow, but in 3 years, for example?
Well, with Linksys, OpenWrt is more like an additional offering. So it's not the factory firmware. But there I was able to convince the management, so everything I do for the Linksys routers gets straight to OpenWrt. We don't keep a fork of any kind of. I really believe that in like 2 years, we will have more of the OEMs and ODMs who actually push their board support stuff into OpenWrt, and then it will be easy.
I think we are already pretty much open because you already have SSH on every device we release. The other thing that it's not really OpenWrt anymore there because it's hacked very hard. On the other hand, the project we are working now, it will have bleeding edge OpenWrt, and hopefully it will not be locked down by FCC. So you will have pretty much latest OpenWrt with all its features, not hacked, and
But not SDK at all?
With SDK probably. All the major changes will be pushed to OpenWrt except our packages, and so you will have all the OpenWrt as it is, plus our packages in binary form, but your custom configuration will not be supported by us. That's your problem.
Great. And one
I
last
would say for the last 2.5 years or so, Qualcomm Atheros has been releasing our SDK. QSDK is OpenWrt-based SDK for our customers to make their routers, and a lot of them use it as is, and it's not exactly what you're looking for or ask for, and the customer can still do crazy hacks, but it's a start, I guess. So
Yeah, the trick is if you want to find the changes, we do push everything open source, but there's a codeaurora.org site that it gets dumped onto, so that's the goal of getting it back into the project, but there's little legal hurdles.
yeah, that's another trick. If you're ever looking for stuff related to our hardware, is you can go to Codeaurora forum and look at our releases of OpenWrt, and a lot of times you can find support for things that's there and it's not upstream. So.
Okay, well, I want to thank the panel. That was great. And, it'd be great to get everyone rotating up on stage because y'all have such interesting insight and knowledge. But thank you, guys.